Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nations organization's main fan page, where I do this nearly daily live stream. And it's all around the divination cards that are drawn in the morning. And we talk about that, share the information. And it also sparks this spiritual conversation here, which is, I think, one of my highlights of my day. Really, it is to be in that kind of conversation with like-hearted people. It's really good. So welcome. Today is Tuesday, April 2nd. April 2nd. Yeah, I had to stop there for a minute. What day is it? It's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Before we get too much further down the road with the conversation, I'm going to pause just for a second, and I'm going to share out the live stream to my newsfeed and maybe to a couple groups. And I invite you to do the same, even if you share it just with one person, somebody that you think that would enjoy the conversation or is looking for the information. That's really, really helpful. So I've got my phone, and I'm going to do that right now. And it doesn't take very long. I think the longest it takes is to find the live stream. Scrolling. Here we go. Gonna like it. And I'm going to share it over to my newsfeed. And so that my friends know, right, that I'm live streaming. And then asking them to join us. There we go. There. That's done. Good. Excellent. It doesn't take that long. And it's because I do it so often, I have the quick keys. And so they're just right there. So hello, Julie Chamoy Hill is in the house. Always good to see you here. Julie is part of the executive team here at Star Nations organization. She's our academy manager. And so whenever you are registering for a class, or you're looking for information about a class or one of the teachers, that kind of thing, or if you've got a topic for a class, Julie's the one to get in touch with and let her know. She's we just got started. I think it was in January, wasn't it, Julie? January. I know we talked about it for some time. But she got started in January. And let me tell you, it's been such a help because I was a one-person show for over a year. And just to have some help is really a blessing. And it helps that Julie and I know each other, right? We've known each other for years, decades. We've known each other. And so, so thank you, Julie, for being in the house with us too. And, it's a beautiful day here in Toma. It really is. We're supposed to hit like 53 degrees today. Yay! Although it did snow overnight. Now, not much. You could see just a really light layer. What do they call it? Cat track? Yeah. This morning when we got up. When I got up, it was about 30 degrees. The drawback to having as much snow as we did, and then having spring come, literally overnight, right? Is Paul didn't get any maple trees tapped. I know, he's really bummed. He said, even if I can just get enough to make a gallon of syrup. So that's like 40 gallons of sap about, right? When the prime time to do that, he couldn't get close enough to the trees to tap them because the snow was so deep. He could walk in, but he would have to tap, I don't know how many trees to get the 40 gallons, probably at least 2 or 3. And then having to schlep the buckets. That was the hard part, schlepping the buckets, because he usually uses his ATV. Couldn't get the ATV close enough to the trees where he usually taps. And so we have sap from last year, or syrup from last year. So it's not like we don't have any syrup, but it's kind of like been a tradition around here. So yeah, but can you make them into syrup? It takes a long boil, a long boil. Yeah. And all kinds of syrup. So anyway, today is Tuesday, and we have a day full of live stream shows for you guys. We had Tuesday at noon at Polly Joe, which I unfortunately had to miss because I had a business meeting I had to go to, and then we have this one, and then we also have the evening communications from home at 8 p.m. So I hope you guys. I have to catch Polly Joe's show on the archive. Yeah. I don't miss many shows, but when I do, it's like, darn, because I do miss them. All right. So before we actually get started with the cards, I do have a request. And Rob, Rob is in the house too. Rob Kendall. Yeah. We do have a prayer request. I was talking to Cindy Ferris. We were doing some texting back and forth. Cindy's having kind of a rough time. She's one of the many, many people who are moving away from long use of drugs with opiates, Yeah, for pain relief, right? And she is she's going through quite a tough time. And she asked if we could send her some prayers, some Reiki, some love heading her way. So that's Cindy Ferris. And I said, of course we can. That's what we do here at Star Nations. We support each other. And for her to reach out for help, I knew that she had reached a point in her recovery that it was really, really difficult, because she still has to manage pain besides coming off from the opiates. So it's kind of a tough day for her. Julie Ferris. I'm sorry. That's not right. Hang on. Hang on. That's not right. Cindy Ferris. Ferries. Cindy Ferris. Yeah, and so, I made some suggestions for her to help at least relieve a little bit of the discomfort. It doesn't take it away, but it relieves a little bit of the discomfort, and referred her to a couple of, at least another healer to do some clearing work for her to help her get the toxins out. Yeah. So, and Cindy's such a sweetheart, but she's not the only one in our community who is coming off from opiate pain relievers. And so if Cindy's asking for help, I'm sure that there's others out there as well that are, at a really rough spot in their recovery. So let's keep them in our hearts and in our prayers, sending them some Reiki for those who know Reiki to be able to send her some. She said she would really appreciate it, Yeah, tough stuff, right? It is. So with the cards today, it's very, very interesting card draw today. We had 3 cards because the card that came up, and when I shuffle the cards, when I put the card from the previous day back into the deck, I just don't put it on top or on the bottom. I randomly insert it back into the deck so that when I'm shuffling, it gets really mixed up in the shuffle, right? And I had to smile because Spirit really wants us to talk about this. We had Council Fire yesterday for the first card, using the Sacred Path cards again by Jamie Sams. Yeah, so Council Fire came again. Yeah, so we're really going to take a look at this. You want to do me a favor? If you haven't grounded today, just take a moment. We'll pause just for a moment for you to be able to do your grounding, because since we've gotten this card the second time, it's obvious that Spirit really wants us to take a look at that information a little bit deeper, a little bit more expanded. And so for us to really be able to take in the information that's being sent to us, yeah, we have to be in a good place to do that. So just take a moment, and if you haven't grounded, to please do that. I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that, okay? In the meantime, I will share about Sacred Path cards. Sacred Path cards. This is the first deck I ever purchased for myself. The Sacred Path cards by Jamie Sams. I don't even have the box anymore. Sacred Path cards by Jamie Sams. It was copyrighted in 1990. So, it takes a while to create something, produce it, and publish it, right? So chances are she did the channeling for the messages and the research for the messages years before, maybe, even a year before pulling it all together before the publishing, right? So the information is still relevant, but we may have to take a look and bring in the information just a little bit differently than we would have back in the 90s, okay? Because we're residing in a much different energy field than we were back in the 90s. And so, yeah, that's why I would like as many people who are going to be a part of this information to be grounded, so you can take in as much optimally of the information as you possibly can in many different ways. So not just with your physical eyes and your physical mental abilities, right? Your brain, but in all your bodies, your emotional, your spiritual, and your physical body. So, yeah. Yes, please. I think she's in Florida. Rob, I think she's in Florida. Cindy Ferris. Yeah. Thank you for spelling that out, Julie, for us. Yeah. Thank you for sending her some healing. And Rob says, I was hooked on Vicodin and brandy myself. Fortunately, had the employment flexibility to simply shut myself in a room for a few days to kick it. Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, right? And I don't, the longer that you've been on it, the number of years, the number of, that it's in your system and your body. And she still has the pain that comes along with the health issue that she has, right? So, yeah, so it's a tough place to be in. And I know, it's to go cold turkey is kind of, it's tough, right, Rob? And so she was telling me that basically she has seen a doctor, and that they're helping her through it. And she doesn't want to take more drugs to combat the drugs. Can't blame her. And so she's got a doctor who's working with her on that. And so what I did was I referred her over to Molly Joe, because this is my personal belief, okay, is that with every layer of the addiction that is being released, right, is that your body, all your bodies are out of sync, and you need to be rebalanced and cleared of any of the toxins that's being released. And so, yeah, and I think we individually know when we need to call in some help. Yeah, and so that's what Cindy did. She called in for some help, and yeah, so it's tough. It's tough. Thank you for posting that, Rob. Appreciate it. ADS can help. Unfortunately, I'm in Michigan, and all the practitioners I know are in Michigan. Yeah, yeah. Well, the distance healing, I'm hoping that Polly Jo can fit her in somehow this week, and possibly, from a distance can help alleviate some of that stuff. So, yeah. I'm charging my phone, so you might hear the humming when a message comes in. Yeah, Rob is saying auricular can help too. Yes, it certainly can. There's so many different methods and techniques that are available, but I also know that when you're right in the middle of it and you've reached the end of your rope, that honestly you can't think about what's possible. What can I use next, right? And so it's nice to be able to reach out and have somebody who is a bit more grounded, to be able to say, have you done this? Have you done that? Let's see if we can get you a distance healer or somebody, because I asked her if there was somebody close to her that could do any of the healings or kind of work. And yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she would. Yeah, Terry would know. Yeah, hey Rob, could you do me a favor? Could you put in the spiritual group, Terry, hashtag Terry, and include Cindy in that, please? Just so that she knows that there's another method out there, and I'm sure one of them will help her. And Polly Joe, she's a really good healer, and helping her to be able to rebalance her chakras and to clear out some of the toxins. And then there's also the essential oil blends as well that can be used. And so, yeah. So just helping her out a bit. Yeah. All right. So hopefully those people who are not grounded are grounded, because this is the first card. And we had this card yesterday, Council Fire. It's about decisions, right? It's about decisions. And I think yesterday when we left off, I had mentioned something about right in the middle of the fire. I was asking if anybody else saw or can sense that being that's right in the middle of the fire, not the person on the other side of the fire who's speaking, but to me, it kind of looks like there's a being right in the middle of the fire. Spirit, because fire is alive. It's a sentient being. Depending on what tradition you come from, the fire is grandfather, right? And the tribal nation that I'm enrolled with, I'm a tribal member of, is the Potawatomi Nation. And the Potawatomi are known as the fire keepers. Yeah. When the three brothers came out from the East Coast, the Ottawa, the Ojibwa, and the Potawatomi, the three brothers, or the three fires, they were also called. The Potawatomi were given the responsibility of keeping the fire. And the Ojibwa, the Anishinaabe, was given the responsibility of keeping the faith. And the Odawa, or the Ottawa, were given the responsibility of the food. And so the three brothers and their clans all came out west, feeling the pressures of the Iroquois Nation and also of the English settlers, and were pushing them west. And so they ended up around the Great Lakes, because that was the message that was given to their holy people, to look for the big body of water with the living rice, the food that grows on the water. And so keepers of the fire. Yeah. So we know that the fire is alive, and it definitely means a more comfortable life for the two-leggeds, and also there's purification that comes with it, right? Okay. Thank you, Reb. Thank you, Reb, for doing that. Appreciate it. All right. Yeah, Rob is saying inpatient rehab is either expensive or filled with involuntaries. That's right. Yeah. And I think Cindy's doing the best that she can, and she's doing it from home. She does have support from her family. One of her sisters is with her right now. And so, she's not alone. In so many ways, she's not alone. And so thank you for doing that, Rob. And Julie's saying, my husband has gone through this type of withdrawal from morphine and methadone. He has lived with a lot of pain every day for the past 30 years, but hated the side effects of the opioid, so he weaned himself off. Well, good for him. I know it's not an easy thing. It's a very, what I was telling Cindy, and I think this goes along with this card, this Council Fire, because in order to go through that with the decision to remove the opiates from your life, or any kind of drugs from your life, is a very serious decision to make, because it affects so many people, not just yourself, right? It affects your family. It affects your work. It affects a lot of places in your life and a lot of people. Just as much as the taking of the drug affects people in your life, right? Whether it is prescription and you're not abusing it at all, or all the way over to the other side of the continuum where it isn't prescribed and you are abusing it, right? So what I was sharing with Cindy is that that it takes a very brave person to make the decision to remove that drug from their life. Because you also know that there's going to be the withdrawal. And you're also still dealing with, whatever pain that brought you to use of the opiates. And so, Julie, I was saying that to Cindy, that it's a very brave person to do that, and to hang in there until they're completely through the addiction phase of it, right? And I'm sure, there's also the psychological piece in there too. And so it takes a while in order for the effects of that drug to work completely through all of your bodies. And so that's why I was suggesting to Cindy that she find another healer, whether somebody close to her or somebody who can do a distance healing to help her with the rebalancing of her chakras, to help her with the clearing of any of the toxins that's being released. Because, Epsom salt baths can help. Baking soda and salt baths, if you don't have Epsom salt, can help. Certain teas can certainly help. But there comes a point, I believe, that you need a full-blown clearing. Because whether we want to believe it or not, there's also entities that are associated with those kinds of drugs that alter your personality, that alter you. And if you are misusing a drug, prescribed or unprescribed, that there's that tendency for those entities that do not have a physical body that still crave it. And so, they basically hang around with you and influence you. So to get a clearing to make sure that those lower vibrational beings are not affecting you as you go through the withdrawal, and even afterwards. Yeah. Rob is saying, I can only add friends to the group. If you add her, I will approve her. Okay. I will check with her to see, okay? I just don't want to add her, just, I want to make sure that she understands that I'll talk to her. Hey, Bobby. She says, afternoon, friend. Healing energy to Cindy. Thank you. I see red cloaked spirit. I do love the fire and the purging energy it gives. Yes. And talk about coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. Synchronicities, absolutely. Signs, absolutely. Right? There is absolutely no coincidence that Cindy contacted me right around the time. I just finished my business meeting. I was going to listen to the last part of Polly Joe's show, and two ladies texted me, and they were, well, about Cindy, and the other one I can't really tell you about, but, they're dealing with a situation, right? And I'm thinking, why? The timing of it, right? And as I sat down to start the show, and I promised Cindy I would mention it to you all because I asked her if it was okay to do that, and she gave me approval to do that. And we were talking about council fire, right? And I think, Bobby, you what you wrote is really true here, is that healing energy to Cindy, yes, and that you see a red cloaked spirit, and that the fire is a purging energy that it gives, right? and sitting in council, and yesterday we talked about how, yes, we can have our council in the physical world. We can bring our families together, our clans together, when there is a family issue that needs to be discussed, right? We can do that. That's a council fire. But we can also pull together, bring together our spiritual team, as a council fire when we have a decision to make. And I did remind Cindy that, that she's not alone, that, that she has her spiritual team with her, and that's comprised of the Creator and a whole host of beings that she knows and doesn't know. All of the angels, all of the guides, all of the teachers in spirit, all of the power animals and totems and the devas, and basically all of creation. We have representatives on our teams. And she was telling me that that she had was praying and talking to them, and she goes, and I said, well, you have a house full. You have a house full, because now you've added us, because we're there with you in spirit, and we'll be sending you love and healing energies. And I said, and those who do Reiki, I'm sure they'll be sending you Reiki as well, right? And so in those situations, we can certainly call a council of our spiritual team. And if you're working with a doctor, with medical teams, if you have a massage therapist, if you're adding on a healer such as Polly Joe or Terry Ruel or anyone else for that matter, is that there's representatives from their spiritual teams that are talking to your spiritual team and helping. Okay, so can you imagine the coming together of these teams coming to your aid, right? Yeah, coming to your aid, and in some ways, literally holding counsel around you. Right? And who is in the lead of all of this is your soul, your highest self. And so when we're asking for help and for clarity, our soul is also at the top of that list, because there's a reason why we're going through all of this, no matter what the event is, even coming off from the opiates. Yeah. There was a reason to have that experience. And Julie, even with your husband, there was a reason why he went through that experience. It's part of his soul growth, and I know it's easy for me to just sit here and talk about it, because I'm not the one going through it or went through it, right? But I do, at a soul level, know that everything that we experience in this physical life is meant for our soul growth. Everything. And when we have those really big events in our life, when you're consciously making the decision to remove that kind of toxin from your body, whether it's the opiates, and Rob was going through getting off in Vicodin, right? And the brandy. So when we make those decisions, our soul already knows what that soul growth, that soul contract part that we're working through. And so to bring everyone together to be able to get through the experience, right? And hopefully get through the experience in a way that is optimal. The hardest thing is when we resist. As soon as we start to resist is when it starts getting painful and hard, painful in many ways, physical, emotional, mentally. It's just pain. Yeah. So we can hold our own counsel. We can hold our own counsel. And you can do that anytime that you have a decision to make. And it doesn't matter how big or small. And right now, we're talking about those individuals who have made a really huge, huge decision. And that was to reclaim their life and to remove those toxins from their bodies. That's huge. And I would imagine, I don't know if you'll agree with me, but I would imagine that when you're through that healing piece and you've healed through all 4 of your bodies and you're completely on the other side of that, can you imagine how immense that soul growth is? Because it takes a whole lot of courage to do it and to stick with it until you're on the other side of it. Yeah. So I'm glad that we're able to be there for Cindy and others. To help them through it. Right? The council fire. All right. Rob is saying consuming Epsom salt will clear out your system too. Yeah. That was one of my suggestions to Cindy. In the meantime, while she's waiting to get on somebody's calendar to do a healing, is to do Epsom salt baths and also to drink chamomile tea in one form or another, whether it's a blend or just pure chamomile. It'll help kind of soothe the emotional system. And I said, and sleep, take a nap. And she goes, all I'm doing is sleeping. I said, well, that's good, because you're doing such huge healing in all of your bodies that it's a kindness is to take a nap, is to sleep. That's a kindness to your body. Yeah. And Rob is also saying the modern push is getting people off opiates. Seems to be medical marijuana. Not sure how much better that is. I know it's kind of, I think that, there's an old saying, an old axiom, right? Everything in moderation. Everything in moderation. I think that when we use anything to, George is sleeping. George is laying underneath the table, sleeping. He's holding energy for us, right? He's such a happy boy. In his sleep, he's dreaming and he's wagging his tail. He's such a happy boy. What was I saying? Kind of distracted me. Anything that we use to hide behind, to cover our emotions, to camouflage, anything is out of balance. Yeah, because we have to sit back and ask ourselves, what am I running from? Why am I hiding? What am I hiding? And many times those that have an addiction in a way that covers something, it's usually their emotions. And generally speaking, it has to do with not knowing how to express their emotions, right? Because to them, possibly they're empaths and they just don't know how to deal with feeling as much emotions from someone else, and or how to express their own emotions in a healthy way, right? Rather than, because they went far beyond repressing or suppressing them. And you're right, Rob. He's saying, is trading one addiction for another. Yeah. Yeah. He said he distracted himself with logical puzzles and word games, getting the mind busy. Yes, the mind busy. Yeah, but it does take, because I want to get back to the cards, it does take when you're making those kind of decisions to find balance in your life, and when you are walking away from an addiction, sometimes it is easy to trade one addiction for another. How many people do you know that are recovering alcoholics and they're smoking a lot or drinking tons of coffee, right? Yeah, trading one addiction for another. But it doesn't even have to be consumable like that. It could be anything. It could be anything out of balance. Oh my goodness. It could be buying books, stones and crystals, shoes. Yeah. Coats. That was my mother's addiction. Shoes and coats. I still have a whole closet full of her coats that she hasn't worn in like 20 years, but she doesn't want to get rid of them. Yeah. Any addiction, anything that's out of balance. And so when you've made the decision to find balance in your life, to actually begin living your life in a balanced way, calling a counsel fire, calling in your counsel, be it in the physical world, friends, family, your elders, calling in your spiritual team, asking them to send you the best and most appropriate healers to help you. Yeah, can do that. Yeah, and Rob's going, or throw themselves into their work. Yes, that it's out of balance, right? Right. And Bobby's saying guided, oh my gosh, can I even pronounce that? Is also being used to rebalance. Excellent results, especially for PTSD. Yeah, psilocybin? Did I pronounce that right? I wish Stephanie was in the house because she'd tell me, she'd give us a link to that, to give us more information. Because if it works and it's not addictive, yeah, that could be really something to share. All right, so let me give you a little bit more information about the counsel fire, just as a reminder, right? Because we had it yesterday. And Jamie Sams writes about the counsel fire. Elders gathered, the fire of wisdom light, words, decisions, conclusions, all through the night. And so it's basically, the whole discussion that everyone has a say. Everyone has input in the community when a big decision is being made that affects the entire community. Right? All right. I want to mark that page. My bookmark. And she goes on to say about the counsel fire is that if you've been waffling over what to do next, the counsel fire card is insisting that you make a decision. There can be no forward movement if you fail to decide which trail will lead out of the swamp and into the forests. It takes courage to make changes in your life, and all changes must begin with a decision. Do it and don't look back. Life awaits you in all its beauty. Life awaits you in all its beauty. So if the decision of another has left you in the precarious position, make a new decision of your own. There's no need to make your decisions based upon another's. Consider all possibilities and how your decision affects others, then be courageous enough to act. Find your truth and stick to it. Find your truth and stick to it. Yeah. Bobby's saying, I do a cleansing around the fire and always invite the whole council, and amazing answers come, especially during a full moon. Hubby always falls asleep soaking in the peace. That's a good one, though. Thank you for that reminder, Bobby. Is that, at the full moon ceremonies, right? Yeah. Maybe we should do a mini class on how to build a sacred fire. Would you guys like that? Yeah. I can talk about the traditional way and the more modern way. We could do that. And thank you, Rob, for telling me how to pronounce that. Psilocybin. Thank you. Good one. Magic mushrooms. Oh, I see. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. So, council fire. Okay. Now keep this one in mind because we have another one. And here comes the second card to help us to understand the council fire in a deeper way and perhaps for some in a more expansive way. Okay. So here we are. Drum. And you know how much I love drums. I was happy to see this card. It says rhythm, internal timing. Rhythm, internal timing. So the one on the taller drum is called a Tahoe drum, and the wider or the more circular drum is called that's a double-headed hand drum. Well, it could be. That could actually be a large powwow drum too, but it's double-headed, meaning two sides. And when you have the drum and the drumstick together, you have balance. The drumstick represents the male energies and the drum represents the female energies. So when you have the two of them together, you have balance. So Jamie Sams writes, drum that marks the heartbeat of our Mother Earth, constantly reminding us who gave us birth. The rhythm of connection, pulse of flame and fire, the perfect reflection of our heart's desire. Now, isn't that interesting? That we also get the pulse of flame and fire in this one as well. So we can also take into consideration the possibilities of the fire being our internal flame, right? Our inner sun. That's our creative spark. That's the spark from the Creator. It could also be represented in our solar plexus, solar plexus, our inner fire, our inner flame, our inner sun. It's our will center. And so we started this out with the council fire card, along with it. You know, I can tell you at least one of the conversations that I had. The other one isn't completely similar, but there is an addiction issue with that one as well. And so, yeah, and a lot of it has to do with the will center, the willpower, being courageous, being brave to say, yes, I'm going to change my life, even though it's going to be painful to be able to do this, right? Yeah, and then I can only imagine how many years, you know, that somebody's on these kind of painkillers, right? Pain medications. And when you go off of them, you get to a certain point where you have enough of the toxins out of your system that you're actually recognizing, seeing, sensing your world in a much different way because you're clearer. You have more aspects of yourself sensing. Yeah. And so it affects your willpower, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. All that from a poem with a drum. All right. And so Jamie Sams writes about the drum. She says that, you know, indigenous people from all over the world had a drum of some sort. And if we go back far enough, we all come from an indigenous people to some continent. And our people, our ancestors, had a drum of some kind. And in that drum, in the sound of the drum, we recognize it. even today, even though you might not have any connection to drum at any other time, when you hear a drum, it calls to you. It's like you got to find out, where is that sound coming from, right? It's because there's a part of us, that ancient part of us, that recognizes it, that remembers it. And we also remember the sound of our mother's heartbeat when we are in utero. And so we're very, very connected to this beat, to the rhythm, to our internal rhythm. Okay, so we're going to do this just for a second, okay? All right, so what I'd like you to do is put your feet flat on the floor if you're sitting, okay? So your spine is straight as possible. And what we're going to do is we're just going to listen to our heartbeat just for a moment. Is to feel it. So just taking a nice deep breath in, okay? And at the top of the breath, you just want to hold it just for a second. And then you want to exhale, really blow it out, okay? So here we go. Nice deep breath in. Holding it just for a second and exhaling. Okay? That's just bringing us to the present, just to our bodies. Okay, I'm going to do that one more time. Big, deep breath in, really filling up your lungs. At the top of the breath, just holding it just for a second. And on the exhale, really blowing it out. Good. All right. And just closing your, you're going to take your hand, doesn't matter which one, and put it over your heart. And you can close your eyes if you can. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. And just sensing, turning your attention to your heartbeat. Feeling it. It's rather calming, isn't it? And then you can take your hand and tap it out. The heartbeat. Yeah. And when that feels good to you, you can just take another easy deep breath in. And then as you exhale, just opening your eyes or coming back to the moment with us right here. It's just a moment. To me, it's very calming. But you know how much I love drums and drumming. And so I know that I'm rather partial, right? All right. So, yeah. Your internal rhythm, your internal timing. We all have it. And we're all connected with it. Our heartbeats are connected to Grandmother Earth. Grandmother Earth's heartbeat is connected to the heartbeat of the universe. So there's another way of connecting to all that is. It's through your heartbeat. Yeah. Sometimes I do that when I have problems sleeping. I have, once I'm asleep, I'm good to go. It's that falling asleep. And sometimes what I'll do is do that. I get calm, take the deep breaths, and I listen to my heartbeat. And then sometimes I'll take my hand and tap out my heartbeat, and it calms me down. Stops the mental mind from doing all that does that thinking stuff, that out of balance stuff, right? Just a little tip.
All right. And so she goes on to say, Jamie Sam goes on to say that all life has rhythm, whether in the physical or spirit worlds. The drum allows us to access the patterns of life force inside and outside of ourselves so that we may come to the understanding that all exists simultaneously. This simultaneous unified beat is the heartbeat of Mother Earth. When we cross the border into parallel universes, we find the unified heartbeat is that of the great mystery. If we ever have experienced those rhythms, we may then share them through the drum to show others the rhythms of all of creation. I kind of like that. She says that if the talking drum has spoken to you, I'm going to get the card out. If the talking drum has spoken to you, you are being asked to find your own internal timing. You may be pushing too hard or missing a beat. In any case, being out of sync calls for realignment with the body's needs. Rhythm is a personal thing. To honor your own rhythm is to come back into harmony with the self. From this point, personal comfort allows you to harmonize with all other rhythms of life. The drum also speaks of allowing yourself to be supported by Mother Earth's heartbeat. That is to say, your mind may be outdistancing your body when handled, and the body cannot pull needed energy from the earth because it's trying to keep up with your thoughts. If this applies, you're missing a beat. Slow down and rediscover the heartbeat of your true mother. Then the synchronicity of your own movements will be effortless. In all cases, rhythm is the key. Become aware of all rhythms and see how yours fits in. If it feels right, you become the music, and the dance you are dancing becomes a celebration of life. Finding your balance and your own internal rhythm. I think that's what our card is about today with that drum, supporting the council fire, because we're making decisions about our life, about finding balance in our life, calling that council together, our spiritual team, possibly our family and our friends, to assist us, to support us. That when we're searching for that balance, yeah. And I bet you anything, there's just about everybody can relate to that outdistancing. How did she put it? That your mind may be outdistancing your body can handle, and the body cannot pull needed energy from the earth because it's trying to keep up with your thoughts. And when first time I read that, I thought it's kind of like a car overdriving their headlights. When you're driving too fast at night, that's what it's called, is you're overdriving your headlights. The illumination from your headlights can't keep up with the how fast you're driving. Right? And so we need to slow down. And how do we slow down? We can tune into our own rhythm, right? And for those who are recovering from an opiate addiction of some sort, because that's how we started out, right? Cindy's helping us with that, is searching for your own internal rhythm because it's still there. It may be covered up. It may be camouflaged by the drug. And so the longer you go without it and the toxins are being released from your body, that there's more of you present to be able to sense, feel, and see your own internal rhythm. Makes sense? It does to me. Okay. And I'm looking at the time. We got one more card to cover. Hang on. 1 second. We may go over just a bit, guys. Okay. We have one more card to cover. and it's the stone people. The stone people. And it's about recording and knowing revealed. The stone people. Okay. All right, so here's what Jamie Sams writes about the stone people. She says, record record holders of the earth, you will please explain the history that gave us birth. The truth you do contain. Like your cousins of the seas, the shells that let us hear, sacred whispers are the key to the histories we hold dear. Stone people, we will hear you. Teach us the ancient ways, so we may build a future based on prayers and praise. Okay, so stones are the record keepers on earth, just like the whales are the record keepers in the sea. Okay, and so they say that when the stones work their way up through the soil, through grandmother earth to end up on the top of the soil, they have all of that history that they just went through the soil of the earth contained in them. And so some of us that are really drawn to stones and crystals, we can actually access that information from them if we ask them. They'll give us that information. But what does this have to do with the council fire and the drum, right? So here, she says that the stone people mark a time in which knowing will be revealed to you. The stone people mark a time in which knowing will be revealed to you. Your personal records are held in these libraries of rock. Childhood memories may return and allow you to piece together a part of your personal puzzle. Memories of past lives or déjà vu could bring new awareness. Whatever the case, you are now in a position to know where you came from and where you are going. A stone person can assist you in focusing your intent, dispelling confusion, changing habits, retrieving records from long ago, or getting grounded. Allow these teachers to become your allies and discover a new world. Listen to the whispers of the mineral kingdom and your heart will know. In all cases, the Stone People card asks you to open your mind because new understanding is coming your way. This knowledge is based on earth records and may change the way in which you view life. These ancient friends are the oldest children of earth and only ask us to stop and listen. Okay? So, the stone people can help us in a couple of different ways. They can help us to record what's occurring right now, right? But they can also reveal to us aspects that may help us through our situation or our event, or in this case, if you're finding rebalance because of an addiction, stone people can help us. They can help us get grounded, and they can help you to find a way to cope with the changes. Okay, so take a deep breath. Here they are, all three of them together. Let's see, we're going to switch these around a little bit. I want to make sure that the first card is there. There we go. That's more like it. Nope, that's still not right. There it is. Here it is. There we go. Okay. So the stone people can help us. I'm trying to figure out, there we go. I'm trying to get the drum in there. So they can help us. Those stone people can help us with that counsel, making our decision. We get all kinds of support. Yeah. That's a good one. That was a lot. Top of the hour. Barely made that in under the wire. Yeah. So we get lots of support from the stone people. If we're going through the withdrawals and just a really hard time, the stone people can help us. They can help us get grounded. They can calm us. We can go out and sit on them. We can carry them in our pockets. We can wear them. Yeah, they're an ally. They can help us a great deal. Yeah, and where did the Epsom salt comes from, right? It comes from the earth. Roberta says, Bobby says, a bit ago decided to go out and sit by the pond. It's filled with hand-picked rocks and boulders, brisk air for lungs too. Yeah, well, good for you, sitting with the stone people. And so, this message deepened our understanding from yesterday's first card, which was the council fire, and we got it again today. And I think Spirit really helped us to understand at a deeper level what council fire can bring to us, the essence of that card. Yeah, it's much bigger than what we covered yesterday, that's for sure. And so whatever resonated with you in the conversation and the information, please embrace it and sense, feel, see how the energy of today unfolds around you and through you, and where this information could be helpful to you or maybe to others, whether you're directly involved or if you're a witness, right? And in any case, we're learning something from it. Yeah. And if it didn't resonate with you, that's okay. Don't worry about it. You don't hurt anyone's feelings by saying it doesn't resonate. It's okay. That's all right. Yeah. So hopefully you'll be able to join me this evening for my weekly show, Communications from Home. That's on at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're talking about spring cleaning of all kinds. You got to come and find out which ones we're going to really spend time with. So hopefully you can join me. Tomorrow is Polly Joe's show, Soul Connections at 7 p.m. And if you're looking for a place to do some healing work, that's the place to be, is with us. And then afterwards, after the healing meditation, is the individual card draw. Okay, that's 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on Thursday, Connie Water is having her show. We're moving her show from the last Thursday of the month to the first Thursday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And Connie is bringing to us messages from her spiritual team and also from those like Mother Mary who she channels. And so she does channeling on her show, and she is willing to take questions. So if you'd like to ask somebody a question, Connie's the person to do it with on Thursday evening. When you ask a question, put it in the chat. And if you could be more specific than broad, that's even better. Okay. All right. So with that, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you hopefully back here tonight at 8 p.m. for my show, or tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. for the next live stream and group card draw. All right. Bama Mina, that means in Potawatomi, until we see each other again. Love you guys.